Hey, let's go over some Spurs news and notes and then ask, should the Spurs chase Donovan Mitchell?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs, the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's Fight San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great work week, and we'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. As always, we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, Ken's Fight Plus app, YouTube. Yeah, we got you covered every single platform you can think of. Just basically, wherever you go get your favorite podcasts, go there, subscribe to Locked On Spurs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So what are we talking about today? I'm going to be catching up some Spurs news and notes that you may have missed. Then bringing our guest, Casey Viera, my colleague at Ken's 5. We're going to be discussing Donovan Mitchell. Vegas seems to think that the Spurs are one of the top teams he can land. Should the Spurs go ahead and make that happen? And then we're going to do something different, talk about the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. I get it, no Spurs, but hey, Derek White's in there. So maybe I'll root for him. So what have y'all missed on the news front for your Silver and Black? Well, I think the big news right now, everybody heard it yesterday. Wembanyama, yes, he got a unanimous selection to the all-rookie NBA first team. He joins Brandon Miller. Who else? Chet Holmgren's on there. Watkins out of Miami. Needless to say, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. He was going to make it. Winning the Rookie of the Year award, that doesn't put you on the first team. And I don't know what will. Led the league. Led the league in blocks. Led all rookies in scoring, and we know his rebounding numbers, everything. Congratulations to him. But the accolades may not stop for him. Up next is going to be the NBA announcing the all defensive teams. He better be on that first team. I think they're going to announce it today by the time we're listening to this show. Hopefully he's on the first team. Look, he's got to make one of the teams, right? There's no doubt whether first, second, or third. He's going to be on one. I'm hoping he'd be on the first team because part of me thinks that he should have been named the Defensive Player of the Year, not Rudy Gobert. But as y'all know, we've discussed that ad nauseum. But there you have it. Wemby, first team, all-rookie team. So congratulations to him. In other Spurs news, if you go to kensfight.com/Spurs right now, here are some pretty interesting admissions from the other Spurs rookie, or no longer rookie, Sidi Sissoko. He spoke with a French outlet recently, and he discussed his rookie season. And he revealed a lot. That one, he was playing way too many video games when he should have been working out and in the gym. Two, that it was an adjustment for him coming from the G League Ignite. Now, people don't remember this. He played for the G League Ignite before coming to San Antonio. So he got used to the Vegas life. And then when he said he had to come to San Antonio and then obviously go to Austin, according to him, that the apartment was in a bad spot. It was very minimal sunlight. He didn't appreciate that. He even said that he got depressed when he got injured and he couldn't get on the court. And he said he spent a lot of time with Keldon and Jeremy. They spent, some quality time with him, but it was a big adjustment for him. But the biggest thing for him was that not taking advantage of the free time that he had to get better instead of wasting it on video games. He said Fortnite. He also said that he regrets not keeping in contact with his family during the downtime, not even doing community service as all Spurs members do. It's a very interesting article. Go read it right now. It's on kensfi.com/Spurs. I guess I told you other news right now. We're going to find out the all defensive team. So there's kind of like 2 for 1 there. But yeah, by the way, the draft is right around the corner. We know what they're going to pick. We'll be discussing more of the draft prospects. We did win yesterday with Rudy Campos, the other French kid who's rising up the stock, the draft mock boards. So, yeah, he's a viable candidate to discuss. I know some Spurs fans are saying, like, why are you talking about this guy? But he's rising in the stock. So go check it out. Yesterday's Locked On Spurs is there for you to enjoy. All right, there you have it. Very quick Spurs news and notes. When we get back, we're going to be joined by Casey Viera. Y'all know he lives the dad life, so he can't do video. He can do audio, but we'll have an audio segment from this point moving forward. We're going to be discussing Donovan Mitchell. Should the Spurs chase him? And then, yes, talk about the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. For those that don't know, he's a big Knicks fan. So we're going to pour one out. We're going to play taps for the Knicks. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA, NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get themselves $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 on, well, we could bet on the spreads, money lines, player props. You got future. I mean, they got it all at FanDuel. You got to check it out right now. Look, I get it. The Spurs don't have, well, they're not in the playoffs right now. They're not in the conference finals, but there's still some excitement there. You know, there's Derek White with the Boston Celtics. Maybe you're cheering for him. Who else? Well, you got Doug McDermott with the Pacers, and maybe you're cheering for him as well. Regardless, it should be a fun time in the NBA Conference Finals. You can have more fun with that by using FanDuel. So again, $150. Let me repeat that on one bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. You want to go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Hey, I want to talk to you about Mustang Drive-Through Coffee. If you're in San Antonio, you want to go there right now. ASAP, located at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Here's what they got. Mini donuts, check. Lattes, check. Cold drinks, check. Dairy alternatives, they got that. They got it all. That menu is extensive. They got a friendly staff. They're a proud local sponsor and a proud community member of San Antonio, serving the city the best drinks in town. If you're in San Antonio, go there right now. Follow them on social media at Muslinger SATX. It's all one word. Hey, heads up, they're going to be celebrating their anniversary next week. There's going to be a lot of special deals, a lot of special events going on. So if you're in San Antonio, head on out there right now. Also, they have the I guess they call it the Lightning Bolt series. So basically what that is drinks that'll supercharge your day. That includes the Alien, which is made in honor of Wembayama. But a heads up, they're using Lotus Energy drink as part of their mix. That allows you to get creative, make more drinks. They're just drinks that'll supercharge your day. They'll power you up to get through the day or just keep you going. And but that will be the default. Lotus Energy, 7 power plant extracts in there. It's good for you. But if you want Red Bull, they'll have that on hand. But just a heads up, Lotus Energy will be the default. Go get that. So much more at Muslinger's Drive-Through Coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Located in the 281 to 1604 area, open every single day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go there right now, San Antonio, because life is too coffee.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from Cybertron Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're now joined by Casey Viera, my colleague at Ken's 5 San Antonio. Follow him on X at Casey_Viera. We're going to be talking about the NBA Western and Eastern Conference Finals. But before we get to that, are you okay with your Knicks and my adopted Knicks getting bounced out?
Oh, yeah. It is what it is. I mean, you get to a point where things kind of work out fittingly, and it was only fitting that the season ended with them going down, starting this big inspired rally, and then having it basically fall apart because of another injury, this one to their fringe MVP candidate. So it's it is what it is. Constructed, they weren't going to beat Boston anyways. Fully healthy. We'll see what happens.
Hey, you know what? A fully healthy New York team probably would give Boston a little bit more run than maybe Indiana will. But
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
so. We'll talk about the conference finals in just a few minutes. Again, everybody, make sure to watch Casey on TV on Ken's 5 TV. He holds it down every weekend on the sports desk, getting you all the information from local sports to Spurs, all that good stuff. Casey will tell us what he's cooking later on this show. But Casey, I guess if Vegas has their way, everybody's going to San Antonio at this rate.
Yeah.
You got Trae Young going to San Antonio, LeBron James going to San Antonio. Who else? Darius Garland going to San Antonio. Donovan Mitchell also going to San Antonio. I guess that's just the Wemby effect.
Has to be.
Has to be, right?
I mean, I think we're far past the Popovich effect of things. So I have to imagine that this is a large portion of that is due to the Wemby effect. And listen, understandably so. Yeah. Understandably so.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Well, look, in case you missed it, another odds maker has revealed their projections slash odds on where Donovan Mitchell could land. Shockingly, San Antonio is among the top teams. Number 5, the leaders of the pack are the Lakers, Nets, and Heat. The Spurs are a plus 1,000 odds to land Mitchell's services next season. Not terrible odds, but then you look at the Lakers plus 300, Nets plus 400. So, but hey, they're according to Vegas, and we know Vegas, Casey, they nailed it when it came to the Spurs win total last season, 22 wins. They got it on point. So you never
Mm-hmm.
know what those Vegas odds makers have cooking in their crystal ball. But nevertheless, uh, let's go ahead and enter the multiverse here, this other Spurs timeline. And you find out, Casey Viera, that they are chasing Donovan Mitchell. Your sources tell you this in this alternate world, and it is on spot. Your source never lets you down. Good idea or bad idea for the Spurs to chase Donovan Mitchell? He's under contract. It don't have to be via trade if they're going to get him now. And all signs are pointing that the Cavs would probably. There's no indication he's going to sign an extension with Cleveland. You think the Spurs should chase him? I mean, they need a running mate for Wemby, don't they?
Absolutely. And I absolutely, I think they should chase him, just like they're going to chase the likes of the Trae Youngs, potentially DeJounte Murray. My thing with this is that you're going to be giving up a large amount for potentially. You don't want to say a rental because you don't want to put that existence into the air, but 1 year under contract before technically 2, but he has a player option, but we know he'll opt out. A player 1 year under contract that if things go just completely awry, that guy's not coming back. And while you're a ways away from that conversation, the only way I think that I can do that to give up the price tag that he would cost is that you know that you're getting the extension right then and right there.
Yeah.
Which is probably not going to happen just because that's usually not how it works in the NBA. Very rarely when these kind of trades are made, the extension does not follow suit right away. An example, the whole reason Donovan Mitchell is still, his name's still being floated out there, went to there with 3 years on his contract potentially, and a lot of the skepticism of that deal was that, okay, yeah, they got their guy, but are we really of the belief that when he gets to that last year of his contract that an extension will be in place? No. And that's something definitely more exacerbated now because he is entering that last year of his deal. So if you're trading for him, the player himself, I think absolutely you go all in and see what you can do. But the main caveat here is not because the player, the fit, anything like that. It's what it's going to cost to get him for potentially what could be a 1 year thing. And that, I guess, train of thought, I don't think they can make a move for him right now. I don't.
Yeah, and also too, you look at Cleveland too. Something's got to give because Mitchell and Darius Garland are going to be up for payday soon, and Cleveland is a small market. Yeah, they're going to be putting their hands up in that money motion, making it rain thing soon, and something's got to give, and that's where you look at the reports that it could be Mitchell that could be on the outs with Cleveland. You brought up two good things, and that was the those are the two hangups for me if the Spurs were to chase Mitchell. It's how much do you want Cleveland, and then two, all right, are you gonna Mitchell? Are you gonna play any stunt? We're gonna start demanding your way out of San Antonio because they're in a rebuild process, and yeah, I want out, and I'm not making I made the semis with Cleveland, and I'm not even sniffing the playoffs, or I'm just sniffing the play-in with you guys, San Antonio. I can't have this. He's 27 years old. He's still young. He's I guess maybe entering his prime years already. So I think that that holds me off too of the Spurs chasing him. But look, I mean, doesn't he check all the boxes, Casey? He's veteran, all-star,
Yep.
or shot creator, spacer for Wemby. It makes sense, right? I mean, don't you think the Spurs should throw their hat in the ring?
If they're willing to gamble and jeopardize the idea of potentially losing him in free agency, go for it.
Yeah.
Because if they do get him, I think they're automatically a playoff team right away. And given the way things have gone, as we've seen in these playoffs so far, matchups are everything. And if they get the right matchup this time of year, as long as the way I see it, the way that the NBA is in 2024, what will be 2025, there's so much parity in this league right now. And there are no teams that you look at, and even right now, the current Boston Celtics, that you're saying, oh, they're runaway, they're a lock to win. You look at them and you're saying that this is the team that nobody wants to face. This is not the prime Heat. This is not the mid 2015 Warriors, the Durant Warriors, anything like that. There's a lot of parity in this league right now. And if you get the right matchup with that team and you're at the party with Victor, with a guy like Donovan Mitchell who would pair perfectly fine with him, you don't know what happens. But all of it goes back to whether or not you think that you can get him to stay. And if you're willing to make that sacrifice, go for it. Sometimes it works. Yeah, Spurs fans hate to hear it, but it worked for Toronto when they went all in on Kawhi Leonard. They traded the face of their franchise to get Kawhi Leonard, and they went all in. They got the title. He left the next year, but so be it. They went all in. They took Masai Ujiri took that gamble, and it all worked out. So there is a track record of this type of thing panning out. Whether it does is a different story. You have to have a GM who has an immense amount of confidence, that's for sure, with that. But if you're talking about an on-court personnel X's and O's standpoint, it would be a perfect fit, without a doubt.
Yeah. He put up 26.6 points per game last season with Cleveland, 6.1 assists, 5.1 rebounds in the regular season. So he definitely is a bucket. And help me with this one. He's a decent defender, right? I mean, I won't say great, but he's all right, right?
Nah, he ain't locked down, but he's not getting hunted out by teams like a Trae Young would be on the defensive end.
And that's another reason why I bring that up is because for me, he gets a little bit more of a nod over Trae Young because of that. He gives you Trae Young numbers ish, but he gives you maybe a bit more defense than Trae Young will do. I'm glad you brought up that point, about a rental, because sometimes rentals aren't bad. A good example you just brought up is Kawhi and Toronto. Yeah, so there you go. Also, too, it would make Wemby happy. A happy Wemby is good for the Spurs, right? He said it again. I mean, Casey, I don't know if you were there at his his Rookie of the Year award presentation in San Antonio, but he said it again. I want to win ASAP. I want to win now. And you can't get better than win now mode than bringing in the likes of a Donovan Mitchell. Look, Mitchell also has experience playing with big guys. He played with Rudy Gobert in Utah. French center. He's pretty sure playing with Wemby would be an upgrade when he played with Gobert in Utah. But so I think the lure of that would be attractive to Mitchell. If obviously he, to sign on longer. But then don't you think it puts the Spurs under the gun more so? So let's just say you get this rental for now. You got Donovan Mitchell, he's just here for a year as of that point. You got Wemby. Imagine giving Wemby a taste of success and then seeing Mitchell leave and then we're back to square one again. I mean that could be a bad thing if they go
not just square one with likely minimal assets because you move them all to get him.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's, if you want to look at the glass half empty side of things, there you go. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a real, that glass is looking a whole lot emptier when you phrase it like that. Things are looking that way. And it might go, and this is not what Spurs fans want to hear, but I think it might go to show you that when it comes, the situation itself might, while on paper it sounds good, the grass not necessarily is always greener in some respects. because if that goes wrong, that's a nuclear winter type situation. But it also suggests that maybe while I don't believe Trae Young is the better player, I feel like Donovan Mitchell is the far superior basketball player compared to Trae Young. At least if you make that move, it's not a 1-year deal. You are on a multi-year situation for Wemby to have a guy to grow with, which is why Trae Young might be the better alternative if you're going to give that type of haul for it, just so you don't even have to worry about that gamble of a potential and likely free agency. I do understand the thought process of wanting to do it, but again, it's just one of those things. Keep in mind, it's pay for what you get, and hope that gamble is going to be there. You're going to be on the better end of that gamble.
Cleveland's gonna want a haul back, and everybody in the basketball world, sports world knows that the Spurs have a lot of riches right now when it comes to players on the roster and picks and all that good stuff. But what would be your baseline price? What would be okay? Look, Cleveland, we know you're gonna want to haul back. We get that. I understand. The Spurs. Cleveland, the Spurs situation, we have all the stuff that y'all can use. If y'all going to do a rebuild, you willing to give up Vassell, some first round picks? Because Cleveland's going to be asking for that type of haul, Casey.
Well, I might be the wrong person to ask because I'm very much not the gambling type. So I don't think Donovan Mitchell is a very good idea from the respect that I don't necessarily want to deal with the impending free agency and the idea of losing everything. So truth be told, if you're talking to me, I'm not making the Donovan Mitchell trade just because of that. If I don't have 100% confidence that he's going to re-sign and his word, and he's not resigning the day he shows to work, the day he shows up to the Victory Capital Center, if I don't have his pen on paper for a multi-year deal, I know that's not happening. I don't want to make the trade. But I'm a very conservative person. But for the sake of this conversation, if you knew that you had him on a multi-year deal, I don't think that there is a trade that they would offer that I would turn down.
Yeah. I mean, you pair him with Wemby, and that's a nice 1-2 punch.
I think every alternative that you come across, the longevity of the franchise, where they're at, what it means, even if you have to give up a bunch, I don't think any end solution that you come out with there leaves you any worse than what you have.
Mm-hmm.
Comparatively speaking to the two situations, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, when we're talking about this right now, and one about him not staying long term with San Antonio, one and done kind of situation, man, that would not bode well for maybe even the future of Wemby in San Antonio, because you look, his rookie season was a wash. It was successful individually for him, the record, the Roy Award, all that good stuff, but collectively, it didn't work out. And then you get a rental, and maybe have some success. Maybe, as you mentioned, maybe they make a playoff. Maybe they go in the play-in, they make it, they get the 7 or 8 seed. But then back again. And then remember, he's on his rookie deal. So he's on a rookie deal. So you're guaranteed about 5 years of Wemby before it could possibly be nuclear winter part 2 again for the Spurs and him flirting with other teams, Casey?
No, it would be more, because you have from starting next year, you would have 3. And then I think with the new deals that are coming into TV deals coming into place and whatnot, I think the subsequent deal would be, the new extension would be 5 years. So you're looking at plenty of time with Victor. That's not as much the concern. But still, the concern is the concern is keeping him happy once you get to the middle of that deal. If the future is basically mortgaged, which it would be, I don't see them doing it. I don't. I feel like they're very much it's cliche, but and a very much worn out comment, but they like what they have. For better or worse, they like what they have. And there was too much at that exit press conference that I saw that suggested to me that everyone is on the same collective page with what they have on this team going forward, the message. I could see a world where they make a smaller trade. I know there's been mixed reports about Keldon Johnson's longevity in town, immediate future in town that I know I can't speak to one way or another. But I don't see them swinging for the fences. I don't. I think they like what they have.
As far as this year, or this upcoming year, I should say.
Correct.
Okay. I think you meant for the long term, like to have for the long term.
You know what? Well, but that's the interesting thing, though, Jeff, is that if this year goes better, which I believe it will, not by championship standards or anything like that. Maybe they make the play-in push. You know, maybe they take care of business in the play-in and they grab a 7-8 seed. How long do they stick with things in that regard? Is part of the reason that they do stick with things one more year is because they feel like the guys that they do have on this team, and I think that here's an argument that can be made, these guys, while they're not enough to win you a championship, they're enough to get you to the playoffs and maximize their value. And when you think Wemby is further along, you can strike big for the next potential name that's out there, that name that's better than Trae Young. And when there's not a sense of a win now accountability, why not? Why not? Of course, you gamble on a year with essentially punting on Wemby's window of ascension, which you can expedite that winning process, which I'm kind of in the camp of. If you have the rookie that's already there, you have the all-star that's already there playing at that level, might as well make that push to better the franchise in the immediacy. There's not. I think collectively that's how they feel. Wemby is a San Antonio Spur under contract for the next basically half decade, so to speak. As much as Wemby wants to win and says and does all the right things, it's still the Spurs. The Spurs still own him. They still own him. They're still the ones who make the decisions, for better and for worse, for what we see and from what we don't see. And I think probably, they know that Wemby does hold a certain amount of accountability in that franchise and weight in that franchise. But at the same time, you know, they're still the boss. They're still the employer. They're still the end decision makers when it's all said and done. And I think they're at a spot for them that they see with what they have and then the potential deal that's out there. I can't see a world. Well, I mean, I can see a world. That's strong. But I can't see them making that big home run swing this summer.
Donovan Mitchell would be good in the Spurs uniform. We shall see what the Spurs do this offseason. All right, when we get back, we're going to shift gears dramatically. We know it's Locked On Spurs. We're going to just look ahead at the Western and Eastern Conference playoffs. The finals, I should say. But first, I want to talk to you about PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks? Well, PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. The easiest, most exciting way to get in all the action to watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Hey, look. PrizePicks. It offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposit into your account this basketball season. What about quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, enormous selection of players and stat types? That's what makes PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. And now you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can pick, make your picks, and then you turn those, like for example, $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, pretty much all the sports today on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Hey, I got it. You should get it too. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONNBA, first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. And we're back on Locked On Spurs with Casey Viera. He is my colleague at Ken's 5 San Antonio. Follow on us at Casey _Viera. And Should we start playing the Taps music for the Knicks right now? Oh,
It's what it is. It's what it is.
Now, for those of y'all who don't know, Casey grew up in the New York, New Jersey area, so that's his team. That's his hometown team, the Knicks. For me, I nearly spent almost 2 decades in New York City, so it became my adopted NBA team, and it just was brutal to watch because you grew up, and I grew up. Well, we lived in New York when the Knicks were bad, like horrible, and to see them get some success finally with a scrappy team with a fringe of MVP player Brunson, and for them to do what they did, it was just heartbreaking. And then in front of the crowd of MSG, that was just cool to watch. I would have been fine if it was a competitive game, but they just got stopped, didn't they?
Yeah, they did and they didn't. That first half was that first half was rough. But then right when you get a little bit of momentum, when a very typical, very fitting fashion for the way that the season was as a whole, they start getting a momentum, and then, like you said, Brunson breaks his hand. Yeah, but the reality of it is this: the Knicks put themselves in a shot where they didn't even have to play a Game 7. They were up 3-2 going to Indiana.
Yep.
And they could have closed out that series there, and they didn't do it. The Knicks had a 9-point lead in the in the fourth quarter of Game 3. Had they taken care of business and won that game, they would have taken a 3-0 series lead.
And then, get bounced. But hey, it was a good run for the Knicks. They just got hit with those injuries. So, look, here's to next season. But hey, let's look at the conference finals, West and East. So over the East, you got Indiana and Boston. We kind of talked about this game or this series before we hit record. And you and I both agree. I think this is Boston series. I think Indiana will maybe give them a little push, but not too much.
I think a lot of people are, and understandably so, are subscribed to the fact that they've been a beneficiary of a lot of timely injuries. This Pacer team against really good teams that, should those good teams have been fully healthy, would have beaten them in 7-game series. And I do think both the Bucks and the Knicks would have beaten the Pacers fully healthy. But you only play who's in front of you.
Yep.
And Indy knows that they're taking on a team that they presently constructed can beat, that they could beat 2 of them in a row, and they did. And it's not the Pacers play a very good brand of basketball when it's clicking. When they got that pace move and that ball's zinging around, they are tough to compete against. And I think it'd be silly for the overriding take, maybe not the overriding, but to have the end-all be-all argument as you credit it back to the injuries. Again, like I said, I do think that is a strong contributing factor, but the Pacers did their part, and they've done their part 2 series in a row with that. And they've shown that they have capable players, a capable roster, a well-coached team, an adaptable head coach that can compete in these series. I don't think they're as good as the Boston Celtics. That's not going out on a limb, because I don't think any team right now in the league is as good as the Boston Celtics. But I know this Pacer team, they are resilient.
Yeah.
You give them that. In that Knicks series, they trailed both 2-0 and 3-2 with their backs against the wall. They are resilient. They're going to hang around. And if you give them a chance to hang around a little bit too long, they're going to take advantage. And if there's any flaw with the Boston Celtics, what we've learned, at times they get a little complacent. Just a little too complacent with things.
Or they rely on Jordan or what's his name, Brown, way too much, and you know, standing around.
Yeah, they get a little too complacent with things. I don't think they're going to get complacent enough that they're going to blow a 7-game series to a team like the Pacers. But I think that's the type of thing that has the Pacers go in there and steal a game, if not 2.
Right.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think this is a series that's going to go the way it's all lined up on paper, and Celtics take care of business here.
You got a gentleman's, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I got a gentleman's too. I
Yeah,
think they got
probably.
gentlemen's. Yeah.
I say that. I say that really in the sense maybe I should be. Maybe after everything I just said, I should have given the benefit of the doubt of 7, or excuse me, not 7, definitely not 7, 6.
6.
But right now, if you had to ask me, I would say probably Celtics and 5.
I wonder if Spurs fans are gonna be cheering for Boston because of the Derek White thing. Yeah, I think so, right?
I think, yeah. I mean, I guess I know they're not going to root for Luka.
That's for sure. Yeah, they ain't rooting for Dallas.
Yeah,
Spurs fans
I know they're not
rooting for
rooting.
Dallas.
Right. Yeah, they're not. I know Spurs fans not rooting for Dallas. I know they probably don't really feel a way about Minnesota. If you want to feel a way, I mean, they don't like that Karl Anthony Towns has come here and just raised hell seemingly every time he's played the Spurs the past few years. And the Pacers. Yeah, and I mean the Pacers. I mean, maybe you have some of the mindset that they're a homegrown team themselves, but I don't think there's anything about the Pacers largely that endears to the Spurs fan. So I guess by default,
Doug McDermott's on the Pacers.
I guess. I mean, if you have any Doug McDermott loyalists in here that are willing to go to that length to root for the Pacers because of Doug McDermott, more to them.
All right, let's go.
He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but listen, I'm keeping it real. The year and a half. If you have someone who is that married to their relationship with Doug McDermott after a year and a half, you know what? You deserve all the success you're having right now with the Pacers.
That should be me because he came on Locked On Spurs this past season. So
that is true. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that could be you. I forgot he was on Media Day this year.
Yeah, he came on Locked On Spurs. I think one of the few. I think if I look at Spurs players, past and present, it's been McDermott, Keldon again. Keldon's come on twice. Lonnie Walker, David Robinson. Keldon's brother, technically is Spurs family, Austin Spurs. But there's been several Spurs that stopped by here. But hey, let's shift gears now to the Western Conference Finals. Dallas and Minnesota. This, I think, will be a fun series. You have two teams. You know what's surprised about Dallas? They're surprised. I didn't realize how big they are. They're a big team. They're a big team. Dallas with Luka, Lively. Is Kleba coming back, or is he done for the season? He's done.
No, it sounds like Kleba's done. But honestly, I mean, the way PJ Washington, Lively, and to a lesser extent Gafford front court is working out, I don't think he'd crack that anyways.
Yeah. But I didn't realize how big Dallas was until I started telling them playing. I'm like, wait a minute, this is Luka's a big boy too. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Big guy. Yep. Let's see. Minnesota has home court, so Minnesota, they're riding high. They just beat the champs. They're loving it right now. I like Anthony Edwards a lot. I think everybody needed to calm down on the whole MJ comparison. I think that was way too premature. But
yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna say I got Minnesota at 6. Who you got?
I think this is Luka's year. I think this is Luka's year. I think this is the year we finally see Luka.
You're breaking Spurs fans' hearts here, man.
I very often like to subscribe to the theory that when it comes to these playoff series, it's the team with the best player when you need that final hair split. That's what you go to split that final hair. And I feel like Dallas probably not has only the best, but maybe the best 2 players. Because I think when Kyrie is focused on basketball and solely basketball, there are very few players better than him in the month of June, in the spring months when the playoffs count. So I would probably take him right now over Anthony Edwards. And as a result, I think you're just looking at this as Luka's year to get to the finals.
I mean, those acquisitions they had midseason were just phenomenal. They're exactly what they needed. With Gap,
Mm-hmm.
who the other kid,
Nico Harrison. You got to give credit to the GM of the Spurs, the GM of the Mavericks, Nico Harrison, because he has been on really a 14, 15-month stretch where almost every deal he's made has panned out. Almost everyone. The Kyrie thing is one of the most, and I'm right there because I'm not a Kyrie guy. I don't like how I don't care for Kyrie Irving on a lot of aspects of his off-the-court stuff. But I would be foolish to say that Kyrie is not one of the most most impressive players to watch in this league. Between the Kyrie trade, between the moves to get Derek Lively to move up in the draft to get him, with the PJ Washington acquisition, Nico Harrison has been on just a heater over the past 14 months. The very little gets talked about. Everything has worked out for him. I think this year, I think we're looking at a Celtics Mavericks final right now.
I am looking forward to Anthony Edwards versus Kyrie Irving. He openly said it after the series was over. He said, "I got Kyrie." I'm like, okay, all right, go.
Let me put it this way though. Though I think Dallas wins the series, I'm going to be strongly rooting for Minnesota.
Yeah,
I'm going to be strongly because one of my favorite athletes in all the sports, mainly because I'm a sucker for the sympathetic figure, is Alex Rodriguez. And and to see a world where Alex Rodriguez wins an NBA title for the Knicks, as much as it pains me, oddly, it's like the most fitting thing in the world as a Knicks fan. I'm glad I'm a Yankee fan though, because I was a Knicks fan and a Mets fan, and A-Rod won a championship before.
I was just about to ask you: is it because of your New York Yankee affiliation, just New York Yankee?
Yeah, entirely.
All right, well, there you have another episode of Locked On Spurs. I want to thank Casey Viera for stopping by on this episode of Locked On Spurs. Make sure to follow him on X at Casey_Viera. We'll be back tomorrow talking more silver and black as your Spurs are in the thick of things in the offseason, but the draft is right around the corner. Maybe we'll do some more draft talk. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, the list goes on and on. And check out Locked On Sports Today, 24/7 streaming channel only on YouTube, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. So for Casey Viera, I'm Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.